Imagine a land roughly the size of Lake Ontario, but instead of water, it's filled with nothing but salt, sand, and sun-baked mud. A basin so deep, it plunges 133 meters below sea level, the second lowest point in all of Africa. This is the Qattara Depression in Egypt's western desert. Now, imagine transforming this scorching, desolate wasteland into an inland sea, generating massive amounts of clean power, and fundamentally altering the climate of a huge desert region. This isn't science fiction. It's a century-old, macro-engineering concept known as the Qattara Depression Project. A project so complex, so colossal, that engineers once seriously considered using nuclear explosives to get it started. Today, modern estimates for just the initial phase hover around $9 billion. This is the ultimate paradox of engineering, creating life by unleashing the power of the sea, and then letting the desert sun balance the equation. On Visionary Mind, we're diving into the staggering plan, the terrifying obstacles, and the environmental tightrope Egypt must walk to turn this dream into a reality. Stick with us, because the long-term impact of this single project could rival the Aswan Dam itself. To understand the vision, you must first understand the geography. The Qattara Depression is not just a hole in the ground, it's a massive, natural gift to engineers. It stretches 300 kilometers long and covers 19,605 square kilometers, all well below the level of the Mediterranean Sea. Crucially, the depression is separated from the Mediterranean coast by a high plateau, only about 60 to 80 kilometers wide at its narrowest point. This short, steep barrier is the entire reason the project is possible. The core goal of the Qattara project is deceptively simple: connect the Mediterranean Sea to the depression. The physics are spectacular. Seawater, driven by gravity, would rush down the cliff face and into the basin. This initial rush of water falling over the natural 60-meter-plus vertical drop would be harnessed by massive hydroelectric turbines, generating enormous amounts of clean, continuous electricity, up to 5,800 megawatts in the most ambitious proposals, far surpassing the output of the Aswan High Dam. The challenge isn't the drop, it's the cut. That narrow, 60-kilometer stretch of desert plateau standing between the sea and the basin is the multi-billion-dollar problem. It needs to accommodate a channel large enough to sustain a flow of water sufficient to compensate for one of the highest natural evaporation rates on the planet. Engineers have proposed three major solutions, each with its own incredible demands. The canal. Digging an open canal would require the excavation of a staggering volume of earth, a colossal, conventional civil engineering feat, requiring years of intense labor and machinery. The tunnel. Boring a deep, continuous tunnel through the bedrock would be faster but exponentially more expensive, requiring a massive tunnel boring machine, TBM, to cut through the hard limestone of the El Difa Plateau. This is the $9 billion-plus investment we're talking about. The nuclear option. Believe it or not, in the 1960s, German engineers proposed using 400 to 500 controlled nuclear detonations to blast the canal open. This idea, part of the Atoms for Peace concept, was deemed too politically volatile and environmentally disastrous, but it illustrates the sheer scale of the excavation required. Beyond the cut, the work area is historically littered with unexploded ordnance and landmines from World War II, adding a layer of risk and cost that is nearly unimaginable for a modern construction site. The genius of the Qattara project lies in the paradox of the desert climate. In a non-desert environment, once the lake is filled, the water flow would stop. But here, the relentless desert sun is the ultimate partner. The area is so hot and dry that once the lake reaches its stable level, water will evaporate at a rate of approximately 1.8 meters per year. To keep the lake level constant, and the turbines spinning, the inflow from the Mediterranean must constantly match this massive loss. Around 600 cubic meters of seawater flowing in every single second. This constant, perpetual flow creates a sustainable, renewable energy source. But the evaporation creates a second, more complicated paradox: the salt lake. As the water evaporates, the salt is left behind. Over time, the Qattara Sea would become a hypersaline basin, turning into a massive, inland equivalent of the Dead Sea. This extreme salinity would render the water useless for most marine life and could potentially destroy the already limited groundwater aquifers nearby, creating a significant environmental trade-off. The benefits are immense and the risks are profound. It is a genuine tug-of-war between progress and preservation. On the pro side, regional climate. The evaporation could increase local humidity and potentially increase rainfall in the immediately adjacent western desert, making a narrow strip of surrounding land viable for cultivation and new settlements. Resource independence. It provides a huge, non-Nile dependent source of electricity, crucial for a country worried about water disputes and energy security. New industry. The hypersaline lake could become a massive new source of industrial salt and minerals, perhaps even highly sought-after lithium, establishing a new pillar for the Egyptian economy. On the con side, ecosystem loss. The current, unique desert ecosystem and the existing oases and low-salinity aquifers would be destroyed by the saltwater intrusion. The salt sink, managing the sheer volume of accumulating salt over centuries, presents an unprecedented environmental and geological problem. Microclimate risk. While localized humidity would rise, major meteorological models suggest the large-scale climate alteration might be less dramatic than hoped, leaving Egypt with a gigantic, expensive salt lake. The Qattara Depression Project is not just an engineering proposal, it's a century-long thought experiment on the limits of human ambition. It asks, can we fundamentally re-engineer nature for the greater good of civilization? For $9 billion, and likely much more, Egypt has the chance to realize a perpetual power source, secure its energy future, and create a new economic heartland outside the overburdened Nile Valley. But it must first solve the riddles of nuclear-era excavation, environmental sacrifice, and the ultimate, unending challenge of salt. Is the promise of clean power and new land worth the sacrifice of a unique, ancient desert ecosystem? Should Egypt revive this ambitious, controversial plan? We want to hear your thoughts. Let us know in the comments. Would you greenlight the $9 billion Qattara project? If you appreciate a look at the massive visions shaping our world, hit that like button and subscribe to Visionary Mind for more explorations into macro engineering and mega infrastructure. Thank you for watching.